Hello, my name is Gina Stumba. I serve as a coordinator for leadership and student organization development. And today we're going to be talking about serving as a faculty or staff advisor for a registered student organization. I'm going to be sharing my screen and we'll be diving in here in just a moment. All right, starting off, in order to serve as a faculty or staff advisor for a registered student organization, the minimum requirement or expectation is that these persons serve at least 0.75 full FTE or have at least 0.75 full-time employment status at the University of Missouri Kansas City in order to serve as a faculty or staff advisor. Of course, other student organizations can have a person that assists them that might not serve in that employment status, but in order to assist with any management of the organization, there must be at least one faculty or staff advisor that has that minimum expectation of their employment status. What we hope that advisors do in this role is that they're able to maintain regular contact with and involvement with either ourselves as well as the organization which they are serving part of. I usually tell our student organizations that the advisor is someone that can assist them and guide them, not necessarily run the organization. All of our student organizations are student focused, student driven, and we want it to keep it that way. And so one of the goals for that is just hoping to maintain regular conversations just so that the students feel comfortable and connected with their advisor and understanding where they can be of assistance. We want our advisor to be knowledgeable about the missions, goals, purpose of the student organizations, that they can understand themselves and their strengths in order to best serve that student org. We hope that the advisors are able to make sure that all the necessary paperwork is completed, as well as understand what necessary paperwork is able to assist our registered student organizations. We want to make sure that our student orgs advisors provide a system of successful communication, long-term, short-term goals, again, just kind of being that guiding assistance in this registered student organization. Our office is kind of broken down a list of advisors' do's and advisors' don'ts. So starting with the advisors' do, things that we encourage our advisors to do, we want them to reach out to our Office of Student Involvement with any assistance that they may need, and just willing to collaborate with the larger UMKC community. We want them to be able to assist officers on procedural manners and kind of understand enough, or one of my previous supervisors always said, give them enough knowledge to be slightly dangerous on the skills that they know. So we're giving all of our advisors enough to be dangerous to be able to best assist them. We want our student org advisors to empower students to take action and find the necessary tools and figure out what success looks like for them. We hope that the advisors develop clear expectations in their relationship with the student organization and just help resolve conflict and make sure that the student orgs are having fun. On the other side of the coin, the advisors don't entail that we do not want the student organization faculty or staff advisors to run the organization. Like I'd mentioned, these student organizations are student focused, student ran, and we want to keep it that way by empowering the students to be able to be master champions of their own success. We don't want advisors to impose their own bias towards what the student orgs do. We want them to serve as an assistance in their decision making, but not necessarily make the decisions based off their own bias. We don't want our student orgs to become a one-man show. We understand that they're first and foremost students, and student organizations are an excellent co-curricular opportunity for involvement, engagement outside of the UMKC community, but we want to make sure that it's not just on the shoulders of one student. So please be sure that that the advisor doesn't just let the organization become a one person. And again, we don't want the organization's advisors to think, oh, because we've done it this way, this is how it's going to be for remaining years. Every year is a new challenge, a new set of students, and we want to recognize and celebrate that by making sure that these attitudes of the organization are not something of the system of, oh, we've always done it this way. Some things that you can expect from the Office of Student Involvement and myself. Number one, to help you with being a faculty or staff advisor, number one is that I will maintain regular communication for myself. I put together a monthly newsletter for all student organizations to be able to see any upcoming events, any opportunities to learn more, things that they will need to know, and also good for you guys to know. We have provided access to be able to find things that are going to be helpful for this registered student organization, including the RSO handbook, the SAFC guidelines, the student code of conduct, etc. And I also want to be able to ensure that our student org advisors feel like they have the necessary trainings whenever needed. So I would be happy to provide additional trainings for either yourselves or for your registered student organization at any point to improve and enhance your role in our relationship here with our student organizations. I'm going to talk a little bit about registration and finances now. I think those are the good questions that our student orgs always ask, and also a good way that advisors can assist on that. First and foremost, re-registration is an annual process, and this is for all current registered student organizations to be able to let the university know that they are going to be part of the student organization community again. This usually opens in the spring semester and then closes after the third Friday of the month. So this year, registration closed on September 9th. And if student organizations were not re-registered at that point, they were taken off of Root Groups, our platform that we will be talking about and utilizing a lot. They will lose their mailbox in the student org office space. If they did have a student organization office space, both located on the third floor of the student union, then they would have to vacate space. They would not be able to request meeting space, not be able to request funds from the student activity fee, and they would not be invited to student organization fairs. So I really don't love it when registered student orgs do not get re-registered, as they then maintain inactivity for a full year before they can re-register again. But that is kind of the steps for that. And as an advisor, I would just encourage you all to spread along the message that re-registration is completely necessary for our student orgs to function. Funding is always a great part of being a registered student organization, but usually a question that we get asked. And so this is going to be your tools to make you knowledgeable enough to be dangerous. But starting off with our funding, every registered student organization gets two sort of bank accounts. The first one being from the self-generated revenue, or from the Student Government Association, or what is also known as the Student Activity Fee, or SAFC. So any of these funds will be requested through a budget request, either on an annual basis or an event by event basis. This is where students are able to request a budget for specific events or travel that they know that they're going to be taking during the academic year. On an annual budget, councils are able to request up to $15,000, and student organizations are able to request up to $5,000. Whatever is remaining from those preliminary allocations, which are determined over the summer, is pulled into the event by event pool, and those remaining allocations is what is given to student organizations. For this year, the cap for requests is $3,800 for this academic year. Not quite $5,000, but still a really good amount of money. The next category that student orgs get to use or utilize in their funding is self-generated revenue, or an SGR account. This is supplemental funds provided by the student org members themselves. This can be obtained through donations or fundraising, membership fees, or individual dues. But these funds are then deposited within the Office of Student Involvement, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But these funds are sort of a supplemental fund typically for SAFC budgets, and still have to fall within those purchasing guidelines based off the Student Activity Fee Committee. The biggest difference between these two accounts is that the self-generated revenue account, whatever is left in there year to year and unspent gets to remain in that account year to year. I kind of deem that as sort of a student org savings account. And then their sort of checking account would be that SAFC account. So everything in that account, whether it's spent or unspent, will be, or whatever is left unspent after the academic year will be swept away to zero at the end of the fiscal year. So at the end of May, if student orgs still have anything on the table, then it goes to zero. And this year, or this next academic year, student orgs will be receiving a sort of punishment for not spending. So we want to make sure that our student orgs are spending in order to give students the opportunity to be able to also receive equal opportunities to those funds. And so let's say a student organization requested $5,000 and only spent $3,000, then that $2,000 is what they are immediately not going to get for the next academic year. So please educate your student org leaders on what those parameters are for student org funding and the importance of spending. Like I'd mentioned with self-generated revenue, student organizations are able to deposit funds to the Office of Student Involvement, and those funds go into a self-generated revenue account. Typically with our fundraising, some students have found success and creativity in being able to obtain this money, but I would be sure to encourage all student orgs and advisors to check out our registered student org handbook to make sure that their fundraising that they are planning, if they are intending to do, is still within those guidelines. I do really enjoy fundraising as an opportunity because it really shows student orgs, it shows them team building and really giving them ownership and leadership in what they are doing, because this money was theirs that they raised on their own. Now, whenever they get either a budget from SAFC or they have money from their self-generated revenue and they are ready to spend it, they will request either a P card or a purchase request. So a P card is a credit card that the university provides that would be for a single transaction that is under $999.99. So anything under $1,000, a student org will request a P card. The other type is a purchase request. Goodness, so sorry. A purchase request. Purchase requests are for bigger amounts over $1,000. And these are typically done through Brew Groups. There are buttons for both checking out a P card and filling out the form to pick that up, as well as for the purchase request to then send that in with usually a W-9 or a contract to be able to cut that check. Typically, both of these do take some time. We ask that P cards are requested at least 72 hours before an event, and then purchase requests usually take a few weeks to process, anywhere between 2 to 4 weeks. So please be sure to encourage your student orgs to get that in on an appropriate manner. Like I had mentioned, deposits can be done through our Office of Student Involvement. One thing that I forgot to mention that is super important is that typically if a student org does any type of fundraising, we just ask that those funds are then turned into the Office of Student Involvement within 48 hours of that event. So please be sure to have those student orgs bring in those funds, those monies, and then Carrie Schmaltz, she is our senior business partner, will be able to assist them with a deposit slip and have that reflect in their account around 3 to 4 weeks afterwards. Travel is an opportunity that all registered student organizations are able to do, and we definitely want them to think about travel as it pertains to professional development and opportunities to enhance the university's status and name. So one thing to note is that all travel has to be done through our Office of Student Involvement, which includes flights, hotels, transportation, conference registrations, shuttles, etc. So please be sure to encourage your student orgs, if they are traveling, do not do any of the booking on your own. They will have to contact our Office of Student Involvement. Again, there are some ways that student orgs can look to see how much funding they will be provided through the student government or through the SAFC. And so please be sure that they keep that in mind for this academic year, what that looks like. Now, this was again just a little crash course on hopefully enough information to make you dangerous. And so please don't hesitate to contact our Office of Student Involvement with any further questions. We are located on the third floor of the Student Union, Suite 320. Our hours are Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, with the hope of extending hours until 7 p.m. Our emails getinvolved@umkc.edu, and our phone number is 816-235-1407. You can also follow us on social media. We have a lot of great things coming up for our student organizations that they can follow on there. As always, though, for our advisors, I know that this is an incredible opportunity for our student organizations to get connected with professionals that are truly experienced and are passionate about serving these student organizations. So let me just take a moment to thank you all for serving in this role. And if you have any questions, please let me know. Thank you for watching, and we appreciate your service to our registered student organizations.